Welcome, everybody. This is our Zen meeting at the Dharmabumtemple. My name is Cory, and I'm excited to kind of lead us today. There's going to be a lot of meditating, and it's going to be unguided meditation. So kind of go through a bunch of instructions that I like for myself and kind of to share with others to get us through all this. And yeah, I guess to kind of start things off, is this anybody's first time at the Dharmabumtemple? Yeah. Okay, it's the first time at this meeting. Yeah, welcome. You too? Cool. And then have you been to the Zen meeting before? Is this okay? Cool. Well, good to have some newcomers and everything. So yeah, I'll run through my whole gamut of things. But yeah, basically the structure for tonight kind of starts with this instructions that I have, and then I'll do a little bit of reading from some books that I really like right now, and tell you a little bit about some other books that I'm reading, which I'm not going to kind of pull from directly tonight. But yeah, there's a lot of Zen material out there, and I really like to kind of push Soto Zen, which is kind of like this Zen practice in Japan, or originating from Japan, that is primarily kind of, it stems from Zen Master Dogen's kind of studies while he was kind of touring China for 4 years after practicing Rinzai Zen in Japan and feeling like there was something a little bit more that he wanted. And the main kind of, I guess, the main emphasis of Soto Zen is the shikantaza practice. So that's just sitting. And within the Rinzai school, there's this koan practice, which you kind of get this riddle and everything, and you kind of think about the riddle a lot. And I think part of the practice is to like study the riddle for like a year and meditate on it, and then you kind of get this enlightenment blast. And I think it's pretty interesting, and I'm kind of opening up to that practice, but for now, it's just we're going to do some shikantaza tonight. So yeah, I think So there's three main kind of aspects to the sitting practice here that we're going to do, and those three kind of things that I'm going to emphasize are posture, breath, and kind of like the eyes and where you put your hands in a way. And so for posture, I want everybody to be really comfortable. If you're not feeling comfortable, kind of please address that in any way that you feel necessary. And definitely try and be quiet for others during the meditation periods. And we'll meditate 2 times tonight. So it's like maybe 15 to 20 minutes at first, and then we'll do a short little break for talking and a little bit of reading, and then we'll meditate until the end of the period tonight. So there's like kind of opportunities to experience it twice, and maybe even ask a question for the group that we can help each other with. So definitely be really comfortable. And then for the posture, one thing you just want to focus on is kind of having a straight upright posture. So I think this is where like the magic of meditation really comes from, is just having this kind of attentive posture. And if you're in the chairs, you kind of want to like get your back off the kind of the seat on the back. And that helps a lot to kind of activate. And I think it's kind of what's going on is physically we're a little bit activated and attentive, and then we're trying to kind of just explore our own minds during this process. And you can kind of have your legs in any format on the ground. And I like this Burmese posture. It's a little bit like folded in, and then I kind of like put my leg over on top here. You can do crisscross applesauce, I think. And the funny thing is like this Soto Zen practice, there's really, really descriptive text about putting your legs into full lotus and half lotus. I really like Maggie. She kind of like runs this temple along with Jeff. She has a nice little saying about how like full lotus is like very strict. You kind of put your foot on top of your thigh and then you put your other foot on top of the other thigh. It's excruciating. I've held it for like a second and it's like, that's not good for me. But everything that's not full lotus is half lotus. So I think everybody is in half lotus right now on the ground. We're doing good. And so if you're in the seats, I think if you can put your feet flat on the ground, that's a really good thing to focus on. And with that, we're all kind of creating this like triangle of stability. And then that helps us with this upright posture and holding that and being comfortable in that. And then next thing we'll talk about is the eyes. So you can have your eyes closed. I think we're not doing this traditional practice of like staring at the wall, which is how Soto Zen practitioners kind of do things, and it can be a little bit overwhelming with so many people. So I think having your eyes closed is perfectly fine. And if you do have your eyes open, what you want to do is kind of like stare down a little bit and maybe a few feet in front of you, and then half close your eyes. So you're kind of in the room physically. If you're focusing on your vision, then you're in the room, and that really actually is a kind of the part of the technique of Soto Zen. Zazen practitioner is being very present and here in the room. And then a really great anchor for meditation is following the breath. So I think there's a lot of different ways you could do this. I like starting off with just 3 cycles of breathing. So 3 big deep breaths in, and then kind of just seeing what happens after that. And then if you get carried away with the thought, or you're just kind of consumed with something and you want to reset, just doing the 3 is a really good practice. I know a lot of people will do a counting practice where you kind of count as many times as you can, in and out 1, in and out 2, and go on as long as you can. And that's really cool too. I like also kind of going to 10, starting over. And usually I never actually make it to 7 before I just start getting into a rhythm and getting into like my own kind of settled breathing pattern. And that's perfectly fine. All of those kind of formats are fine. And I also really like box breathing, and I've seen some like jokes on it recently, and I'm like, okay, don't come at me. But yeah, so box breathing is really helpful for my kind of sleep practice as well. So you basically breathe in for 4 seconds, and then you hold that for 4, and then you breathe out for 4 seconds and you hold it for 4. And it's actually a square, not a box. But yeah, if you want, you can try that as part of your kind of technique for kind of elongating the breath and everything. And part of this practice is, slowing down the breath as well. And so I like to think that if I can't hear my breathing, then that's a really good speed. So you don't want to kind of breathe in too fast because it's kind of loud and you can hear it. So if you can't hear your breath, then I think that's the right speed. And also, I don't discourage anybody from breathing loudly. Like if you need to do a quick breath, it's perfectly fine as well. So those are the techniques and everything. So your hands. So I like doing hands on the lap. You can kind of put it anywhere on your thighs or anything. This is perfectly great. And the traditional kind of zazen text indicates we should put our hands into the cosmic mudra. So it's either this hand over this one, or it depends on whether or not you're right-handed, but I can't remember which one it is. So you kind of just do this, and then you very lightly touch your thumbs to the point where you could just hold a piece of paper but not smash it. So you're just like really lightly holding that. That's the cosmic mudra. So you can kind of make this and put it right here at the abdomen or on your feet if you want. That's very powerful. And you can also just do whatever mudra you want. I kind of make up my own every once in a while, and they're super fun. But the idea with the mudra and with your hands in your lap is you commit to it. So maybe do one every 5 minutes if you want to try something new, but definitely don't be like fidgeting too much. We want to kind of slow down everything. So yeah, comfort, posture, breath, eyes, mudra, we're moving. So the thing that I wanted to read here is from Beyond Thinking. So this book. So this is a book called Beyond Thinking, a guide to Zen meditation. It's like excerpts from the Shobogenzo that Zen Master Dogen wrote in the 13th century. So there's a lot of really great ancient knowledge here, kind of translated into a very readable format for us English speakers. So really grateful to have this, and a lot of cool stuff in here. It's oddly relatable, and the instruction is like so straightforward. And I also think you kind of get an insight into like the struggle that people in the 13th century were still experiencing, and the solution of meditation, or a practice of meditation that was there to kind of bring us all back to the present moment. So yeah, let's just imagine that Dogen said all the things that I just said, and then he goes on to say, having adjusted your body in this manner, take a breath and exhale fully. Then sway your body left to right. Now sit steadfastly and think, not thinking. How do you think not thinking? Beyond thinking. This is the essential art of zazen. The zazen I speak of is not learning meditation. It is simply the Dharma gate of enjoyment and ease. It is the practice realization of complete enlightenment. Realize the fundamental point, free from the binding of nets and baskets. Once you experience it, you're like a dragon swimming in the water or a tiger reposing in the mountains. Know that the true Dharma emerges of itself, clearing away hindrances and distractions. So yeah, that's kind of like some powerful text, and a good intro, I think, into the actual meditation that we'll do. So I'll leave us off with one last thing, which is just think body like mountain, breath like wind, and mind like the sky. All right. Yeah. So that was the first meditation. I really enjoyed that, and I really personally enjoy this practice a lot. So I'm really happy to kind of share this with everybody, and appreciate y'all coming as well. I heard there was like a meeting, maybe it was like one of the loving kindness meetings where no one showed up, and it's just this broadcast. We're broadcasting, by the way, on the internet. It's crazy. And yeah, I guess if anybody online has any kind of comments or questions or anything, please post them in the chat. There's going to be like a kind of opportunity for Q&A in a minute. But yeah, I really, like I said, I really like this practice a lot, and it helps me just kind of slow things down. Talking about slowing things down a lot tonight. So I feel like maybe that's like the resonant theme in my heart right now. And yeah, I like this practice mostly because you just kind of need a timer. So I just follow my watch and check it every once in a while for tonight. And when I'm doing a meditation at my house, I usually just set a timer on my iPhone and like turn off the internet so I don't get any, notifications or anything. And yeah, it's really kind of comforting because I travel a lot, and before I had like this meditation practice, I would really like crave the feeling of being back in my kind of like home routine. And I really like biking and being active. And so, I'd try and like simulate that on the road or in other countries where I'd like go on a run or something, and it kind of hits the spot, but it's very, very difficult sensory overload, and I think this is really like a great way for me to kind of, just feel like everything's fine and kind of signal to my body, my mind that we're doing good and there's no reason to stress. And there's a weird practicality to it all. Even though like a lot of this text kind of says like, don't grasp for anything or don't think about anything or don't have any goals. Like we're not trying to become enlightened by doing this practice. And it's really weird because it's like a lot of people I think come to Buddhism and Zen to become enlightened or because they've heard about it and they're curious about it and stuff. So it's a weird kind of paradox in a way to not reach for it, even though it's there. And I don't know, it's bizarre. But yeah, I guess did anybody kind of want to share about their experience of this meditation, or if it was good or bad or neutral?
Excuse me, I think about 5 or 6 times ago.
Mm-hmm.
First time I did it, I was so aware of how much my brain was thinking about the past or the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me a while to kind of stop that. And when it did stop, like cease for a while, I kind of got spooked. And I was like, whoa, I'm not thinking about what it was. Tonight I felt like I was almost falling asleep. I don't know if that ever happens, but it's the first time I felt like that. Like, for the picture I was fell asleep. So
Yeah, I've actually said this a lot, but the Zen practice is all about just being present in everything. So I think you're getting it really right. And yeah, with the sleepiness, it's just sort of like, I think, you're present now to the fact that you're tired, and sometimes like I go into meditations not realizing how tired I am. And it's really interesting. Like I've actually fallen asleep in a meditation here and like kind of caught myself, and I'm like, man, I really needed to make sure I get good sleep. So it's like has a reward, sometimes to let me know what to prioritize. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I guess, is there any comments or maybe questions about Buddhism that anybody has? I'm allowed to answer Buddhist questions. Yeah.
Question about meditation in general.
Uh-huh.
I'm new to the practice, but I've noticed that when I'm meditating is when I often get like, realizations that I want to remember. And so I don't know if you have any tips for letting it go and not being like, oh, I know if I remember this.
I mean, I'm going to read a little bit more tonight about kind of zazen practice, and I mean there's a lot of indication that like Buddhism is about practicing kind of like the study of ourselves and everything, and forgetting ourselves in the process, and it's very confusing, like this kind of method, and I'm still kind of trying to wrap my mind around it at times. And I think that's actually like why we have like the Sangha in general, is to kind of trade notes at times and learn from each other about what's working and how to kind of refine the practice. So I do really appreciate that question. And yeah, it may just be as easy as like, meditating next to a notebook. And I mean, if there's something that you want to explore that's coming up, it's like, there's no rule that you're not supposed to do that. And yeah, and I think I'm always telling people to just let things go, relax and stuff. And, it's a big theme in, Buddhist practice, is to let things go. And, there's a lot of, I've heard this kind of theme lately that like that the mind is just making thoughts all the time, and that's just what it's supposed to do. It's like kind of like this sixth sense, where the mind just makes thoughts, and sometimes you just have to like be aware about which ones are important. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. As I'm like reading and everything, I think if y'all have any other questions that come up, they are welcome. And yeah, to kind of bridge us into this next thing. So this, I'm going to read like a little passage from this book called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, which was, it is a book written by Shunryu Suzuki. He practiced Soto Zen in Japan, kind of like before World War II, and then like kind of after it for a decade. And then he moved to San Francisco and like kind of started a Zen temple there. And there's really great biographies about it, but this is like the pivotal text that he wrote, was Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And when I moved here to San Diego, I was really happy to find that this is this resonates here, and people kind of read it pretty actively. But just to read a passage here. So like I was saying earlier, to study Buddhism is to study ourselves. To study ourselves is to forget ourselves. When you become attached to a temporal expression of your true nature, it is necessary to talk about Buddhism, or else you will think the temporal expression is it. But this particular expression of it is not it. And yet at the same time, it is it. For a while, this is it. For the smallest particle of time, this is it. But it is not always so. The very next instant, it is not so. Thus, this is not it. So that you will realize this fact, it is necessary to study Buddhism. But the purpose of studying Buddhism is to study ourselves and to forget ourselves. When we forget ourselves, we actually are the true activity of this big existence or reality. When we realize this fact, there's no problem whatsoever in the world, and we can enjoy our life without feeling any difficulties. The purpose of our practice is to be aware of this fact. Like I said, very confusing and kind of like leaves me baffled at times. And yet it's so practical as well. Like the practice has kind of like these yields results that like are almost, they feel so tangible. And like, I think this feeling that I have coming out of meditation at times is, I think I like to call it equanimity. And it's like this kind of feeling of balance, of kind of knowing exactly what I need to do next, and having this like kind of strength to do it and not be distracted. And there's a lot of good reason, I think, to kind of just run with that. And I like it a lot, but then I don't know, I read this stuff and I get so confused. But yeah. I did want to kind of like plug some other books that I'm reading because there's a lot of them. And actually, I found a copy of this in the library. So if you're interested in reading The Art of Just Sitting, it's in there somewhere. I like this one a lot because it's kind of also breaking down kind of shikantaza, kind of Zen practice straight from, again, the Shirobo Genzo, and kind of goes into a lot of depth into things. And then there's this guy, Brad Warner from Cleveland, who's written Sit Down and Shut Up. You like it? Yeah, he wrote Hardcore Zen. He has a really great podcast as well. And a little bit vulgar with the shut up and everything. But I mean, that's kind of like the idea is just sitting practice and everything. And you kind of find your way from there. And he has a lot of like great modern takes on it. And yeah, kind of really just fun read, to be honest, and fun stories about like punk rock in Ohio and like the connections to it all. And he has like really great credentials. He used to live in Japan and was reluctant to be Dharma transferred and everything. So he's I think he's the real deal. But yeah. So those are my plugs and my commentary from the books. But yeah, do y'all have any like great insights into like the confusion that I'm talking about? Or maybe, yeah, Yesenia.
The Zen Mind Beginner's Mind part that you read reminds me a lot of like the Tao.
Mhm.
You know, like it's both things, it is and it is not. Like that is the Tao. Like the moment you try to perceive directly, that's when it disappears. That's, you know what I mean? Like
I don't know much about Taoism, is what you're pulling from? Yeah.
Like I was listening to an audiobook last month, and it has a lot of seemingly like juxtaposed ideas that can coexist. And you're like, what? But it's cool. It's
Yeah.
really like, so that's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, and dualism is like a big part of Zen in general, or Japanese Zen, is that, and I've read some material as well from, I forget the name of the book, but there's this kind of proposition that like Zen is Buddhism and Taoism kind of intersecting. And like, I don't know if y'all have like, I'm sure that y'all have had experiences of other forms of Buddhism, but it's there's a big diaspora of it all, and it obviously started in India, and so there's like Indian Buddhism presence, and then as it's moved through Asia, like it's kind of, it has different influences in different places, and the US and places like Australia and other parts of the West, it's they're kind of like, you know, having this resurgence of it, I think. And I have a theory that it's actually connected to like this kind of assault that we're having on our attention from social media companies, for instance. And so I think a lot of people are finding kind of like relief in it. And so it's like kind of on it's having a very like useful moment. But as Buddhism kind of like moves through all these places, it has like this, you know, kind of merge with the culture in those places. And yeah, with Zen, there's a big theme of duality, and dualism is very, very difficult, I think, to process because, you know, I've grown up with like right and wrong and, you know, failing or passing. And yeah, there's a proposition within dualism that you're failing and passing at the same time. And it's like, well, which one is it? And I think in a way, we're either conditioned or, you know, are like naturally moving towards, you know, having a right or wrong answer for a lot of things. And yes, it's pretty difficult to comprehend this at times, I think. But yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I guess we have about 10 minutes before we should start closing up again, or closing this place down. But yeah, we'll meditate again. And yeah, I guess usually I like to propose that maybe folks maybe focus on, or maybe take notice of like a difference between the first and second meditation. And yeah, if you're willing and you kind of have a realization, I think it'd be kind of cool to share before we close out before the end of the night. Right, before I do the dedication of merit, I guess, did anybody notice anything different between the two meditations? Other than the second one being 10 minutes and the first one being 15 minutes. Hey, what's up? Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if it's because we're kind of like breaking the ice, but it definitely, for me as well, I resonate with that observation. Yeah, thanks. Cool. Well, yeah, like I said, really enjoy this practice. I'm glad we all get to kind of share the space together. And I guess, so if you all are comfortable, please bring your hands to palm center. Or no, bring your palms to heart center, sorry. And may any merit gained from this practice be transferred and of benefit to all beings in all directions. May all beings be at peace, and may all be free from suffering. And Vicky's going to close us out here.
Hello, everyone. I'm tonight's host, Vicky. We opened the Dharmabumtemple 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who leave are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sauna that meets several times a week for anyone with addiction, and our food redistribution program is every Thursday at 4:30. We have classes and programs every day, and everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on our website and also posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and bring it back when you are done. Let's see, please straighten the seat or cushion before you head out. And thank you, Cory, and thanks everyone for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much.